The kitchen smelled faintly of roasted chicken and lemon. I sat at the table, glass in hand, and watched the conversation float over me like a low, persistent hum. My aunt's eyes, sharp and bright, lingered on me longer than necessary. My sister was across from me, fidgeting slightly, the silver fork tapping a restless rhythm against her plate. "You're pushing 40 and still single," my aunt said. Her voice was casual, like she was stating the weather, but I felt the weight of it pressing down. "Maybe lower your standards." The table went quiet. Forks paused mid-air. My uncle looked down at his plate. My parents exchanged glances but said nothing. My sister nearly dropped her drink. I took a slow sip of water, letting the silence stretch, letting the moment breathe before it could consume me. I remembered previous dinners, similar lines, the same laughter disguised as concern. Cousins married in a flurry of weddings, cousins with perfect resumes and perfect spouses, all neatly fitting into the life template my family assumed was universal. And me, I had always felt a friction between who they wanted me to be and who I actually was. I could have snapped. I could have smiled, mock, polite, and delivered a cutting remark. I could have laughed it off, turning their comment into a punchline. But the calm, reflective part of me, the part I rarely allowed family to see, held back. "Maybe I should lower my standards," I said slowly, letting each word settle. But I didn't. "That's why I'm happy." The words hung in the air. My aunt blinked, just once, before looking away. My sister's hand froze halfway to her mouth. My father's fork paused, then clattered lightly as he set it down. My mother's lips pressed together. Nobody said anything, but I didn't need them to. The quiet shift was palpable. I thought of all the moments when I had doubted myself, when the small voices of family criticism echoed louder than my own judgment. This moment wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about acknowledging that their expectations didn't define me. My happiness was mine, and for the first time in a long string of dinners, I felt the subtle power of owning that truth. My sister exhaled quietly, and her fork scraped against the plate. My aunt adjusted her posture, as if she had just realized the dynamics at the table had changed, ever so slightly. Nobody raised their voice. Nobody offered praise. And yet, control had shifted. It was a quiet recalibration, a subtle acknowledgement that the narrative I had lived by wasn't theirs to rewrite. I thought of my previous relationships, of the men who didn't fit my life or my values. I thought of lonely weekends, of books read in dimly lit apartments, of walks in the park that felt full even when I walked alone. All of it had shaped me, had reinforced that compromise wasn't the same as happiness. The dinner continued. Conversation meandered around safe topics: the new school year, a neighbor's vacation, the city council's latest decision. Every so often, my aunt would glance at me, searching, measuring. I met her gaze once, calmly, without aggression, without appeal. She looked away. The table shifted again, subtly, silently. I felt no triumph, only a quiet alignment. By dessert, I was aware of the underlying tension, but it no longer pressed against my chest. I had claimed a form of dignity, not through confrontation or spectacle, but through restraint and clarity. I had asserted my values without erasing theirs, had won a small, private victory in the most public of places, the family table. Afterward, as I cleared my plate, my sister whispered, "I didn't expect you to say that." I smiled faintly. "Neither did I," I admitted, and it felt honest. More honest than any debate or lecture could have been. I walked out to the balcony afterward, night air cool against my skin, and felt the subtle pulse of relief. My choices were mine, my standards intact. The family's world hadn't crumbled, it had merely been nudged, a quiet shift in dynamics that no one would dramatize but everyone would feel. In the end, it wasn't about winning or proving anyone wrong. It was about being whole in the face of expectation, calm in the presence of judgment, and quietly steadfast in the knowledge that happiness cannot be dictated, only chosen. The night settled around the city, and I let the quiet victory linger, not celebrated, not announced, but real. My standards had not changed. My life had not bent to expectation. And for the first time that evening, I felt a serenity I hadn't known I could claim in this room.